Good, great evening. It's your girl Key, and this Facebook Live is all about self-care, looking at how to do you, why it is so important for your well-being, for your potential, for the quality of your life, that you start to take steps to put your best interests at the forefront of your mind. And even as I say that sentence, I know that one of the challenges about this is going to be, especially if you're sensitive and you're someone who gives to others and prioritizes everybody else first, then it's highly likely that this is going to be exceptionally uncomfortable for you and for those people, because a lot of people will be invested in you being your old self. And if we don't want to get to the point in our lives where we're burnt out, potentially burnt out can lead to breakdowns, and breakdowns can also lead to breakthroughs. So let's not forget that. That and breakthroughs are about when we change our life. And that's okay. Like, breakdowns that lead to breakthroughs are incredibly life-changing if we're able to turn it around. But sometimes it's gone so far to the edge that it's particularly it can be particularly tricky. But we don't want to have to get to the point where we go from burnout, breakdown. It's preventable, and one of the ways that we can prevent that is by prioritizing ourselves, putting ourselves first, and saying yes to us. Self-care. So, as you know, Key is here by herself, and why you need to prioritize you to how you spell prioritize? Oh, well, I'm sure it'll tell me if I get it wrong. And it has done. And why you need to prioritize you. So, self-care is something that is often spoken about, and I know I've spent a lot of my time and my videos speaking about self-care, because it's the seemingly small things that we may not do that actually have a lot of bearing on our life. And when we get to the point where we don't know who we are anymore, all the things that we love are no longer in our life, it's usually because we've prioritized everything else. And I think for me personally, motherhood was one of those things where slowly you begin to realize that actually some of the things that you enjoy just don't tend to happen. And I think that's the case for a lot of mothers, but I think it's also a case for a lot of individuals, that we can get so caught up in survival, day to day, making sure the bills are paid, getting to work, prioritizing what's important to them, that often what happens is we become at the lower end of the pecking order. And I think the challenge with that, do bear with me as I just make final changes, is it feeds into issues such as anxiety and depression. Back to die, but will most def watch on the replay. And Gibson, thank you so much. You just reminded me about the hashtag replay. Most definitely indeed. If anybody here is going to watch on the replay, please put a hashtag replay, because them things warm my heart. Like, I'll just be going about my day, and then I'll get a Facebook message saying hashtag replay. It just it's really beneficial. But the reason why self-care is so important is because by the time people get depressed, by the time we're anxious, by the time we've gone to the doctor to go off sick, and then they're like, oh, would you like some antidepressants? The challenge is the things that we love, the things that we enjoy, the things that replenish us are often not in our life. And when they're not in our life, it's only a matter of time before we get the anxiety or the depression, because our life has become incredibly humdrum. And so it may seem silly. I tell my clients this all the time, like little things like getting your nails done And every time I'm in the nail shop, I don't know what, I always fall asleep. Like, it's just like my down time. And it's become a part of my self-care. And I have to actually big up Mark, who encouraged me to just to think about how I present myself when I do my videos. And so, like, you know, doing videos has also helped me to improve my self-care. So I'm unashamed about that. I don't feel embarrassed, or, you know, I've never really been like a lipstick or person, but those little things became important and has become important in terms of my own self-care. And so there's a benefit, because it means that I make, you know, obviously I do videos, but it means that I'm just always making sure I'm considered about what I wear and my hair and so on and so forth. And that actually has a benefit for me as well. And so often by the time we're depressed and we're anxious, you know, by the time we're depressed and anxious, it's usually because so much in our lives has gone, and sometimes we don't even know. And I'm often hearing, like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. And that's often because all of the little things that we love and enjoy have gone. And so self-care is actually our priority. No one is going to prioritize us like we are going to prioritize ourselves. Some of the biggest challenge we have are going to be internal, how we think about it. So the barriers we have, or I can't afford it, or it's not the right time, or people like me don't do things like that. So you have your own prejudice and your own excuses as to why you won't do X or you won't prioritize yourself. But there are also external hurdles that we need to contend with. And those can be range from our family members, that can be about our class, that can be about, you know what, I write about this in my book. I was reading it today, which is probably why I can't actually remember examples of internal blocks. Examples of external blocks is family, commitments, religion, class, culture. Like, you know, certain things are unacceptable for you to do because, for example, if you're a Christian, you must attend church on Sunday. Therefore, the workshop or whatever you want to go to, you won't go to because you're kind of caught in this, like, almost become trapped doing what is expected of you from others. So when it comes to self-care, we have to learn. I think it's prudent and beneficial that we work out whether the blocks to saying yes to us are internal thinking blocks or in the environment, you know, the people that we have to navigate. And whilst I think we also need to exercise diplomacy in terms of who we choose to tell about the things that we're doing. Because should we choose to tell people who are full of judgment, or who, for example, play small, or actually sometimes they might be jealous or they might be uncomfortable with your progress. So we have to be mindful about who we tell we're going to do X, Y, Z, because for some reason they'll have an issue with that. And sometimes we think those people would be like on our side, but for whatever reason, they're not. So if you have any questions about self-care, putting yourself first, why maybe you don't take the steps that you do, feel free to ask me. You can ask me here, or you can go privately via my, you can message me if you don't want to be publicly associated with myself, because a lot of people don't want to be, and that's understandable because of that. Actually, it's understandable because of the stigma associated with the work that I do. And I think that stigma is about mental health. And as I often tell people, I don't believe I'm in the mental health field. I believe I help people to become their greatest self. And I believe that's incredibly, you know, I think that's what we all want, is that we want better for ourselves. We want to live a far more fulfilling life. And I think I can say that quite confidently, that there's a part of us that wants more. So feel free to give me your questions or not. But as I said, our duty is to protect ourselves. And in my book, Why Love Hurts and Why Self-Love is the Key, I talk about one of the most important factors that I think we need to be careful of when we are looking out for ourselves, especially, as you know, my interest is always in love and intimate relationships. If we've had mayhem relationships, this goes out for my sensitive hearts, care bears, kind, considerate souls who often end up in one-way relationships where you give and you don't get back. And so if that is your situation, I write about that acutely in this book. I would say to you that you need to do an audit of your phone. I am very adamant that a self-care audit of your phone is so helpful for you to start to think about the people, even the apps, even the like social media platforms that actually contribute to you not feeling good about you. You need to think about who you follow. You need to think about whether you need to block somebody, not because you really want to block Derek, for example. I don't know why I'm always using the name Derek, but Derek's the name for this season. But you block Derek because you need to look after you, because you struggle to say no to Derek. So blocking people can actually be a form of self-care. And I could spend this whole hour talking about why it's so important to audit our phones when we are considering self-care. Because these little devices we take everywhere with us. You know, this ain't the 80s where we'd leave them at home and then be like, well, 80s, 90s, we'd leave them at home and be like, all right, well, forget it. We go everywhere with them, and our lives are held in them, from bank details, photos, phone numbers. There's a lot of memories in here. And if we are not careful, we can be triggered, we can be distressed, we can be provoked into anxiety and sadness and despair by not safeguarding ourselves with regards to our phone. And I believe, as an advocate, that we take responsibility for ourselves. As an advocate, that we have to have our best interest at heart. That is our duty to audit our phones in order to ensure that when you pick it up, you're not pulled into a vortex of stress and anxiety, because you have to be your own best friend. There is no cavalry. No one is coming to save you. And no matter how much you give to somebody, you're not going to necessarily get it back. Remember, givers often need takers, and takers mean that when you need something back, well, firstly, they'll struggle to consider that you have any need because it's all about them. And you may be giving with the hope that something will come back to you. So you'll have an expectation. And as annoying as this is, and I still struggle with this one, we have to be very mindful about our expectations. And I believe, well, I know cognitively in my mind that I know that having expectations is the mother of disappointment. But, you know, it can naturally happen that you expect that what you give is what you'll get back from someone. And when that doesn't happen, it can be incredibly devastating. And this is one of the reasons why it is so crucial and fundamental to our well-being that we look after ourselves, that we say yes to the dress, we say yes to siphoning off a portion of our wages when we get paid, I know, in order to have a holiday fund. Because you're likely to avoid the disappointment if you choose to put these practices in place. But like I said, one of the biggest factors is often ourselves. And if we have perpetually given, especially if we've been brought up to give to others, to put everybody else first, then prioritizing ourselves is going to be very difficult for ourselves. We're going to struggle. And what you will have is a range of stories and explanations and reasons why, once again, you can't invest in you. And this is, I see this often, and I see this every day from people who've said to me, Key, I've wanted to work with you for years, but for whatever reason, they felt that they weren't ready. And I was recently had a conversation with someone who was talking about, yeah, but I'm not quite ready yet. I'm not quite ready yet. And you can be seduced by your own excuses to not prioritize yourself. And that's the beauty of having a relationship. So obviously I'm a therapist. My clients have a relationship with me. I work in a relational way, because when people tell me their long-winded excuses that they make themselves feel comfortable with because it's all in their head, and they tell me, I'm like, bro, are you really trying to get that past me? We need to scrutinize that. We need to scrutinize that. I did a post yesterday about Netflix. And the reason why I talked about Netflix is because, and I had the same conversation today with my dear friend Daniel. I don't have it. I don't watch it because I found it so incredibly addictive that the day I had planned to do XYZ was spent in my onesie, in bed, watching a series that never seemed to end. Like, it just went on and on and on. And I think if you are someone who's struggling with depression, if you are struggling and you're sad and you're down, I think you need to question whether having those types of apps, is it an app? I don't know. Those types of viewing material is helpful to you, because it can also feed the duvet day psychology, where you end up not getting up, you end up not doing anything, and you just consume data. You're just a consumer of this product. So, and I know he was talking about, I think Top Boy, he said, and my friend today talked about how exciting it was, and I thought, oh, that sounds good. But I feel like with my purpose and my mission, I don't know, I just don't feel like it would it just feels like it will become a distraction. And so in terms of self-care, we have to be very careful about what we let into our ears, through our eyes, and what we let into our mind, because this is the most important thing we own. And we can use that kind of media to watch nonsense and be distracted, but we could also use that media to inspire us, which is why on my drives to my office, or anytime I've got a long drive, I'll always have a long lecture that I'm going to listen to on YouTube from motivational speakers, because I enjoy that time. I love what I do, so it's not a chore for me. Because people are always like, okay, can't you turn off? Like, what do you mean turn off? I do what I love. Like, I have a career. I love what I do. So listening to a lecture for me about human potential and how to become your greatest self, or listening to a lecture by Jordan Peterson about men and why the rise of suicide is so prevalent, is absolutely I'm actually delighted to listen to that. And so you have to get disciplined. You have to learn to say no. You have to, thank you for the, I was that a heart? I needed that heart. Thank you. I do need some interaction, people. So if you want to ask me some questions, I would be grateful. Like, oh mate, so true. Duvet day adding to depression. Vicky, listen, I see it too often. And I think the challenge that I have with what I do as a therapist is I see things from like the front line. And sometimes I'll be talking about things and people don't realize it's an issue yet. It's almost like I feel like I'm seeing it before it's commonly known that it's an issue. And so I do believe that if you are depressed, if you are down, be careful with Netflix. It sounds really bizarre, but I see it too often. Be careful with that Netflix stuff, because it promotes, like, I don't know what it is, and then you got an app on your phone, so then you get, I don't know, pizza delivered to your house in your onesie. I mean, I was in Subway the other morning and people were ordering their breakfast, like the delivery guys were delivering breakfast. There was like 4 motorbikes outside, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, people really need Subway delivered to them in the morning? Like, what? No one can't get out of bed and pop some toast in the toaster? Like, is it really coming becoming that way. Like, I don't know, maybe, or maybe I see too much. People tell me I'm too deep, but we need to be careful of this, because we have to exercise self-discipline, because if not, our time will be like, it would just drain away, going from one series to another series. And like I was saying today to Daniel, at Christmas we was at my cousin's house, and he said, let's watch something. It took us an hour to find something on Netflix, like a whole hour. Like, that's like literally a film, because this person doesn't want to watch that, that person doesn't want to watch that. And I just thought something's really weird. Back in the day, my mum would take out, you know, a DVD or a video, and like, that's what you watched. Or you'd watched what was on Channel 3, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, or Mary Poppins, Indiana Jones, job done. And now it's the tyranny of choice. And Michelle Obama talks about that in her magical interview with Oprah, about actually there is just too much choice, and that can make things very, very tricky for us. And so I do believe, in terms of self-care, firstly, you need to start with this. And these are getting better. Phones are getting better. I am a massive fan of the block feature. And like I said, sometimes I block people for my own well-being, because we all have the Friday night where we're a bit lonely or whatever, and you might go on that endless scroll, or you might give Derek a, hey, you're right, long time no see. And actually, you put yourself in predicaments. Well, you start something, because often we're not very great at admitting it, but sometimes we're the one that pokes back into their world. 6 months later, you want to moan that Derek's taking the pee again, but actually, did you break the seal by unblocking him and then saying, hi, how are you? I just wondered how. You find the excuse. And so we have to be very careful, because often Bedknobs and Broomsticks, love that. We create our own, people don't like it when I say this, but we often create our own misery. Shoot me down, but I see it time and time again. The challenge is, and I write about this in Why Love Hurts, is that we don't recognize the small, nuanced choices, the very small decisions that we make that actually open the gateway. And that is why it is our responsibility to shut shit down. There was a point in my life when I was dumped by an individual that I really liked. The individual, really liked him. And then I remember like going on my social media, and dude had been looking at story, and then I'd start thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder if they've seen the story, what that means. Maybe they'll get in touch. And I thought, you know what, yeah, I don't need this head stress. Yeah. So you know what? Let's just unfollow, block, whatever has to be done, so that I don't start creating little fancy fairy tales that this dude's gonna come back on a noble steed, swoop me up and rescue me. Ruga, it ain't happening. Lock it off, shut it down, and you have to be responsible for that. We have to take responsibility for that, because this isn't the 80s. The amount of information that you can ascertain as to whether somebody's online, they're offline, who's that in the WhatsApp profile pic, 2 blue ticks, why ain't they got back to me, are they ignoring me, they just posted on Instagram. This stuff can drive you insane. It can drive you insane, and it's understandable that it can drive you insane. So one of the ways that we can manage that is by shutting shit down. We have to take responsibility for that. You have to unblock. Oh, that's child. I remember telling one of my dear great friends that I'd blocked an individual who was narcissistic and particularly difficult. And she criticized me for that. She was like, oh, well, you should be strong enough. You shouldn't block him. You're being childish. And I felt like I valued her opinion. And I felt like maybe I wasn't being the bigger person. Maybe I was being childish. And so I kind of like unblocked. And then the silly mind game started again, which kind of reaffirmed why I know what's best for me. Sometimes you listen to people and you kind of like for whatever reason you value their opinion and it makes you feel bad, so you think, okay, cool, let me try and be the bigger person here. And I did, and I just thought, nah, this don't work for me. This absolutely does not work for me, because this, who knows, because we can try to get into those people's minds, and that is just like a mind in itself. So rather than me try and use my energy to get into their mind, to understand what's going on with them and why they behave in this way, you know what, let me just shut shit down. That way we don't do this. I don't have to do the overthinking, and I can get on with bringing my vision and purpose to life. It also means I get to understand exactly what my clients are going through, because your girl Key is a human, and I desire to be loved, and I desire to be one in a relationship, and so on and so forth. But I'm very good at noticing stuff and thinking, right, that if that's happening to me, a lot of other people are going to be going through that. So I'll either write about it or do a video about it, because I need people out here. I need you guys to know that you are not alone, that we all battle, and that this thing is not easy. And devices, smartphones make relationship breakups, make dealing with difficult people very complicated in ways that we never had to contend with before. So it's okay if you get curious and you want to check out your ex and see what he's up to. I get it, like, it happens. And you know, there's temptation all around us when you can just Google search somebody. However, self-care is when we say to ourselves, I'm not doing that to me. I'm not opening up that labyrinth to go down, because actually when I go down that labyrinth, it takes me somewhere I don't want to be, and my mind starts working and my mind starts churning. Vicky, lots of love for real. We do create our own misery. I know I do. Bless you, Vicky. Thank you for that admission, because you know what, when you actively respect that you do, when you actually have the balls and the courage to accept, like, actually, you know what, I initiated that contact. The beauty of it is that if you create the misery, that you can create your happiness and your harmony. And your happiness and your harmony may not look how you want it to look, but it may be filled with peace, and it may mean that you find love in very different ways. This taps into a conversation I was having with my dear friend Daniel today about, you know, he asked me about what is love. And I said, D, like, I experience a great deal of love, but not in this, you know, often we're caught up in this romantic notion of love, and that it should look like getting flowers or being taken out on dates and somebody having our back and that whole romantic stuff. You know, I get love by, you know, coming into my office and just appreciating that this is how I make my living now. Like, that I'm not, I feel very humbled by that. I feel very grateful that people have invested in themselves, in me, and that, you know, I wouldn't be anywhere without my clients right now, because people, you know, took their money and believed in whatever I was delivering. So, like, to me, that's love. And my concept of love is far more expansive than romantic love. And my hope is that in your journey, you learn to know that love is not just this romantic notion. And if you go to my website, keyforchange.com, on my resources section, I have a book there called We. And that book, it has been incredibly helpful for me to understand romantic love, fairy tale love, and the problems it causes people, especially in the West. Because in the Western concept of love, we are very much looking for one person to complete us. We want that person to fulfill all our needs, and you be my other half, and all of that jazz. And actually, I believe it's one of the reasons why divorce rates are so high in the Western world. You look at other, you know, cultures who don't necessarily get married for love, and actually their record of divorce is different. Now, it's just an observation. And that's just me kind of repeating what I've read in that book. But if you want to know more, go to my website and check that out. What do you say, Vicky? People, if you have any questions, do let your girl Key know. It's 8:30 already. Gosh, I could chat. Every now and then I exit from social media for my own well-being. Vicky, how long, when you exit social media, how long are you off of it for? And can you name one benefit of exiting social media? You know, and I totally get that. And I think for me, obviously I have key for change, so I don't really think that I'm not going to be on social media posting my dinner. It's just, I just wouldn't see that as a purposeful use of my time. But I am very curious about how much time people spend on social media and the influence it has. The influence it has on us is profound. So, but as I said to Alfie when we did I did a recent broadcast, we decide who we follow. You know, our timeline is made up of the people that we have an interest in. So if you find that you're feeling, I don't know, inadequate because your bum isn't big enough, or you don't have a pout, which seems to have women altering their lips at this particular time in history, then maybe it's as an act of self-care, you like lock that off. You stop following those people, because you know it actually has an adverse impact on your body, how you feel about your body and how you feel about yourself. Which is one of the reasons when I do take the train, I do not take the metro and I do not watch the news. And I think that's even more like, I really don't know what is going on out there. And actually, you know, people choose what we hear. So I choose what comes into my earlobes, what goes into my mind. And I think that is something I would encourage you to do. And we're able to do that now in a very different way because of social media. So, you know, it also has its benefits and drawbacks. Natasha, if I didn't have a business, I wouldn't be on social media at all. Interesting. And I know when I kind of qualified, that was the reason I started Facebook. And you're right, I don't think I would have. But as a parent, you know, this is what we have to contend with regards to our children. Our children are on there and they are being influenced in ways that we have no idea, to be quite frank, as much as we might try and supervise the stuff. So yeah, I get it in terms of having a business, in terms of like it puts you there, but you have a business, you go there, but then you're also influenced as well. And I think, you know, I'm there because of my business, but I am also influenced by the things that I see too. So it's an interesting one. Plus, as being, you know, I think it's important for me to be aware of social media as a therapist, because social media has a great impact on the work that I do. People, like, being unfollowed is incredibly distressing for people. So I get it, like it hurts, but that's why, you know, coming off of social media for a while is incredibly important, so that we have those real relationships. You know, we rub up against people, because human contact is fundamental to human wellness. Hey Vicky, a few days a week back in contact with myself, my thoughts, and getting to grips with my life instead of everybody else's. Most definitely. Yeah, enabling you to do you. And that's why I'm such a fan of, like, what am I a fan of? I'm a fan of really choosing what I allow. I remember when I was in my government job and I used to listen to LBC because I used to like James O'Brien. I love James O'Brien. And then I realized, like, the news is every 15 minutes. And sometimes the day would, like, nothing could happen. And I worked in a prison, so it was like I had negativity out there. And then I'd be listening to like the negativity every 15 minutes from the news. And then I began to feel like the dreams I had for myself, like wanting to own my business, it was a recession and there were cuts. I just feel like this is not going to happen. And that was one of the fundamental reasons why I began to shut it down and listening to inspirational material, because we have to be the guardian of our earlobes, because if we're not, stuff comes in, and it's the reason why, one of the factors why we can be filled with fears. And we're like, we don't even know how come we're so fearful of XYZ, but these things can happen to us. So remember, if you're watching this on the replay, give me a hashtag replay. Okay, what's your opinion on dating apps? I think for me, in terms of dating apps, I think the challenge of dating apps, when I tried one, it felt like people were commodities, you know, like tins on a shelf, like swipe, swipe, swipe. And I think it works for some people. I know some people have had a lot of success, but people don't also talk about, you know, how sometimes difficult that can be when you're ghosted, or someone just wants punani, doesn't want to get to know you, or the weird characters that you meet. And, you know, when you put yourself out there, you're going to be subjected to, you know, you leave yourself open. So it's a bit like, you know, as a therapist, my number's out there, and yeah, I get weirdos, and I swear they're rubbing themselves up when they call me, and I'm like, okay, it's a consequence of what I do. I think you have to be careful, because you might feel like a commodity, and if you don't feel like you're not getting enough likes, or you've not gone on a date, and that makes you feel bad, then you need to consider whether it's in your interest to stay there. I'm a fan of real contact, hands-on contact, human contact. So one of the things I encourage my clients to think about, often we've not given the interest, the things that we love, the space they need to be nurtured. So, for example, if we're exploring your life and moving forward, and I'm encouraging you to revisit your dreams, your interests, your hobbies, because I know that when we give up on, I know our dreams hold the key to our well-being. That's my belief, because I see it time and time again. That actually, I encourage people. I have a City Lit magazine. I also have the 101 bucket list that I also get people to look at, and you can also find that on my resources on my website. Go and look for my bucket list. I encourage people to connect with the things that they love, because if you connect with the things you love, and say for example you go and do a workshop, you're more likely to find people with similar interests. If you're on a dating app, I don't know, like maybe you read the profiles, but for me, as someone who's very much hands-on, I'd rather go and pursue my interests and meet people on that journey. That's just me. I personally, I'm a hands-on kind of person. But I think if you feel, I remember doing it and having a lot of old guys who I would not imagine would even try and chat me up on the street, approach me on an app. And I did it when I was doing some of my stand-up work. Like these dudes wouldn't approach me on the street, and then feeling like really uncomfortable, and then it made me feel like I wasn't good enough. Why was it the guys who I liked, who I know starred or hearted, why did they never get in touch with me? Why was it some old man called Bill from Brighton who was interested in me? And I'm just like, I listen, I have no Bill, if you saw me on road, Bill, you wouldn't say nothing to me, Bill. But Bill, you see me out here looking for man, now you're gonna start trying to holler at me, Bill, leave me alone. So that's my view about dating apps. What do we say here? Sat in the doctor's the other day speaking to my 6-year-old, and she said, why is everyone on their phones? I didn't even know what to say. Yeah, well, phones are very addictive. It is the way it's going, and I don't see that is going to change. Well, we know that the goggles already in, and you know, our tech savvy people are buying those up, so I don't suspect that will change. I do miss human contact, but what I've realized is, yeah, man, you're not laughing at Bill. Yeah, Bill, like Bill, know your place, Bill. You Bill, don't try it. You know what I've realized? I end up talking to a lot of older people on the train, because older people don't have all the devices on, and they're kind of looking for human contact. And so as a psychologist, humanist, someone who's interested in humans, I love that. I love those conversations and the wisdom that I notice. Like, we can have deep and meaningful conversations on a train ride. So yes, I definitely do love that. Yep, the weirdos, there's loads on dating apps. Yeah, I think, what is it called? Fish for fun? Fish pool? Pool of fish? Plenty of fish. Plenty of fish. Yeah, plenty of fish. I mean, it don't get clearer than that, does it, ladies? Plenty of fish. Plenty of fish. That means there's plenty. You're not one fish. It's plenty full of fish. Now, ladies, if you want to put yourself on plenty full of fish, well, then you know that there's going to be plenty of fish, and that you're in competition for whoever might be seeking you out. So you know, you have to be careful, very careful, because there is a lot going on now, and I don't even want to get into the whole problem of porn and what porn is absolutely the havoc that's wreaking on human relationships, because no one here is doing Debbie does Dallas routines and swinging from chandeliers, nor does anybody have tassels for their boobs, because you've now become expected that should be the norm, because you've subjected yourself to so much porn that normal you know, regular sexual activity no longer stimulates you, because you're expecting cowgirl boots and Daisy Dukes. It's not happening here, bro. It's you take that somewhere else. That sounds like one for the psychiatrists. Really looking forward to your workshop this month. Oh, Sue, thank you. You know what, you guys are good. You're better at me than promoting. Yes, I am absolutely looking forward to my Feel Loved workshop this month. I've just been doing the posts all day, and I do absolutely love Feel Loved. I love that concept. And so thank you, Sue. I absolutely look forward to you being there, and I absolutely look forward to what evolves, because I love to have groups of people. That's one of the things I miss. What obviously you guys know, I used to work in prisons, and I used to deliver groups in prisons. And so I love that kind of in the thick of it, and I have to respond in the liveness of it. So absolutely looking forward to Feel Loved. Tickets are still available. I've got 6 more left. If you're in the Feel Loved group, you can get 15% discount. So get the love you deserve, because it's our responsibility to say no to the bozos, you gal. Because if the ride is sweeting you, and then outside of the bedroom is problems, you have to be mindful. Keep that lady flower in check. Oh, you urge anyone watching to sign up, Sue. Thank you so much. See, I got, like, people are reminding me about my own stuff, and I think I'm really touched by that. Thank you. Amen to that. The more authentic you are with your interest and your truth, the happier and lighter life feels. Natasha, you are absolutely right. And that's why I truly believe that the love I have, I believe it supersedes any romantic love, because it is one that is just so abundant, where you feel valued and people appreciate you. And, you know, for me, I've been able to harness some of the most difficult experiences I've been through for a greater good. So when people come to me, and people travel to see me now, like, I'm very moved by that. I'm just so moved by that there's nothing like that, because you know that what you went through has purpose, that it wasn't just you got annihilated, you got used, someone took the piss, that actually, and I think for me that's always spiritual, that absolutely through that darkest hour, it then revolutionized your life, and you are able to help other people. People come to me because they're like, I know you know. I know you know. And so when that happens, I give the most thanks, because in those darkest hours, and give me a heart if you know what I'm talking about, you just couldn't even see a way out. You just had no idea. And that's why I encourage people to start small. Do you think Key began by saying, let me go and take 10 grand to go and do a degree? No, sir. I began with a book. I began with a book called In the Meantime by Jan Levansan. That book was the book that started to get me thinking. Don't let nobody tell you you're too deep, yeah? thinking is the key. You've got to start to like think. Or sometimes we have these little, things, and it just sort of shoot past your brain. Capture that, write it down. That's why I'm a big avid fan of journaling. Journal that down, because some of the things that fly past your head really quickly, or with just a fleeting thought, actually can be so fundamental. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm such a great therapist now. You've got to big up yourself. I know my lane. I know where I slay. Is I capture nuance. I capture small stuff. Before, I never used to catch it. I used to just like let it go, let it go, let it go. But now I've realized the stuff that I capture is small and nuanced. And actually, when we start to look at that in greater detail, it's a bit like Netflix. It just flew through my head yesterday. Like, I think Netflix makes people worsens depression. And I've gone with that. And now I'm about to write an article about it. 10 reasons why you need to unsubscribe from Netflix if you're feeling depressed. And I'll put that on my website. I have a blog page, and I'll also put that on LinkedIn. So I can totally relate to that. Bill, it's a no from me. Amy Vincent, listen, that's why your girl Key had to come off of them dating sites. Bill was brave. Bill was brave. Can men come and learn to avoid the bozos? Clayton, you are funny. It's really weird, right? It's so weird. Daniel and I was talking about this today, and I was saying, like, as a woman, you have to be careful you don't pick up a man that's a liability, because a man that's a liability is a damn liability, and they will just draw you down. You trying to elevate, or you even just trying to sustain, and that is like a lead weight just pulling you over, like you're gonna subside. So I was saying, like, listen, I can't be having no liability here. Key for change, your girl Key has got a lot to contend with. And if you ain't complimenting and enhancing, and if I can't look up to you when I'm tired, rest my little head on your shoulder, and you say, there, Key, all right, have you thought about this, that, the other? I'm going to help you do A, B, C, D. Or the man, we ain't got time for that. We got dreams and ambitions that we want to achieve. We want to #/ live our best life. Not no pretend, put two smile on the gram and pretend we're living our best life. We want to live the best life. And so I can't, that liability, I will look at you, you will look fine in the designer clothes that you could ill afford. I will marvel at you and how sweet you are. And I will think, I cannot afford you. I cannot afford you in my life right now. And so, sisters, if you have a man in your life that is a liability, then man, that is expensive to maintain. And so, to my friend Clayton, I have to remember, the guys are also saying, you're picking up some ladies and you're realizing this woman is a liability. What are you gonna do about that? I say you need to be careful that you don't get whipped. Because being whipped can also be an unhelpful dynamic in these relationships when we know we need to let go, but you are smitten because of your biological needs. So, if you have a tendency, I think my material works for men. It's just you change bozo to bozettes, as you have done in... You're cheeky. You just change it from women to men, and that will totally work for you. Ah, man. True happiness comes from meaningful connections. You taught me that, Key. Sue, thank you so much. And it was beautiful to see you. As I said to you, it's beautiful to see you in the airport lounge having your champagne. I'll say yes. Sue is living best life. Best life shenanigans. Franchelina, being normal in the bedroom doesn't exist anymore. Too much competition out there causing a lot of men to cheat. Wow. Being normal in the bed doesn't exist anymore. Too much competition. Listen. Like I said, sistering, listen. This porn business is creating a lot of havoc. Yeah? And no one here is a gymnast. Yeah? It's a bit like you being in a dance. And then wanting you to do all kind of cartwheels and head on. Look. There's no gold medalists here. We're just ordinary people. Yeah? Who sang that? John Legend. We're just ordinary people. Yeah, and we're not saying we're going to give you missionary every single time. You know, we're up for a little bit, but don't let these men dictate to you, because some of them come with their I've been inspired by Debbie Does Dallas routines, and they want to come flick some off-key stuff on you. And because we feel like if we don't concede, then we're not woman enough, or someone else will have him. Listen, let him go to the other woman and block her out, yeah? Because, you know, we've got to function in the morning. We've got to get up and we don't want to be having to stagger around because he want to do some sort of acrobats. So I think you need to be mindful as to whether the dude is consuming a whole heap of data, a whole heap of unofficial websites where he's now become desensitized. And I would encourage you to watch a video about that. I'm going to put a link to that. And that was one of the hour-long lectures that I was listening to on porn, because this porn thing is getting out of hand, and man is wanting some like the extra service, like, hold on. No. And you have to say no, and there's nothing wrong with you, sister, nothing wrong with you. It's just that they've desensitized themselves. They've watched some weird stuff, and now they want to come practice on you. And you have to be firm, and you say, listen, I'm happy with A, B, C, but Z, no chance. You go King's Cross and pay for that stuff. Not today. Having a mental pause button is really useful. Thank you, S. Self-love comes first in order to avoid the bozos and see them off a mile. Camilla, I think self-love is I don't want anyone to think you just arrive. Like, you don't just arrive at self-love. For me, you know, I may think I've got there, and then you meet someone, and then they come with their baggage or their demands or whatever, and then you realize, oh, I was about to sell myself short there. So we never arrive at like, oh, I've got my self-care in place and I love myself. It's to constantly stay alert, to stay awake, to stay woke, so that it's work in progress. Remember, it's work in progress, because you meet a new dude, we meet, I'm not going to say Bill, we meet a nice guy, great guy, we call him Clayton, and you realize, all right, there's some of my own baggage is coming up here. So you get to learn more about you through that relationship with that person. And so then you may realize, okay, well, this person ignites this part of me. You know, some people, it will ignite different parts of you, different insecurities, different fears. And so it's about paying attention to that. But, you know, I would always encourage people, you know, to see self-love as a journey. It's a bit like working with my clients. I don't ever tell anyone, oh, by session 10, you're going to be fixed. I don't do that, because, you know, I still have therapy. I see my therapist every 2 weeks, because it's a continuous journey. Like, I never think that you've arrived, because that's when you're going to be the most vulnerabilist. I agree. Those fleeting thoughts can be golden nuggets of insight for your future, sister. I am a massive fan of capturing fleeting thoughts. Fleeting thoughts hold a massive amount of power. Amy, just got rid of my man as he was a liability. Kicked him to the curb today. If you ain't on the same level as me, get out my lane. First time watching. I love your energy. Think you're amazing. Oh, Amy, appreciate you. Thank you. I thought I might be sitting here by myself. I've got 12, man. That's big numbers for me. Talk to me, darling. I'm all ears and love. Camilla replying, same, hun, is wicked. Love this chat. Yeah, I keep hearing about self-love, but finding it hard to achieve. It's not magic destination, definitely an ongoing journey. Camilla, if you know that much, you're in a good place. And remember, for all my ladies who've been single for a long time, I think it's really important. You're doing your self-help books, you're reading your stuff, it's great, but we only ever really truly know how much we've progressed when we meet someone and then the nonsense starts. You know, I'm saying nonsense, but that's when you know. You know, I could think about a situation I was in, met the dude got me, he didn't think I was deep, he was fascinated by my mind. I was like, oh my God, thank heaven someone's not criticizing me for the fact that I don't watch television. It was such a delight. I found those connections incredibly rare, so I was grateful. And then these stories came. What I concluded, and you know your girl did a video on this, is called He Overpromise, Underdeliver. I ain't the chick. I ain't the chick who's going to be waiting there for you because you promise and then you underdeliver. Ladies, give me a like, give me a heart if you know this one. When they said on Saturday we're going to do X, Y, Z. And then if you say on Saturday X, Y, Z, we thinking about doing nail on Saturday. We thinking about shaving the leg. We thinking about imacking the thing. We're thinking about doing eyebrow. We're thinking about what we're going to wear. We're thinking about drawers. We're thinking about underwear. And then Friday comes, Saturday, do they said nothing more about it, and you're just left hanging on, thinking, oh, we're still going, don't want to ask him, because I'm sure we said we're going to go, don't need to think I'm a pest. Over promises and under delivers. And if someone over promises and under delivers, it's going to get on your nerves. It is going to disappoint you, and in the end, the disappointment leads to resentment, and it also means that you cannot trust the man. The man is not a man of his word. That's a problem right there. However, did I like? Yes, I liked. It was nice on the eye. Most definitely. Did I appreciate the behavior? No, I didn't. So you know what your girl had to do? I gave him strike one. Make the man know. Mark this down, ladies. I also talk about this in your girl's book, Why Love Hurts. You tell him first. I noticed you said this. This is what you did. This is the impact on me. 3 things you do. Tell them you notice their nonsense behavior. Secondly, what was the second one? Tell them you notice the nonsense behavior. Tell them the impact it had on you. Give them another chance. Watch and observe. Make it an experiment. Watch and observe. When Bozo comes and does that second time, lock off. No long story, no talking. I don't need anxiety. I don't need to be thinking about what I'm going to be wearing, running up and down High Street, trying to find a shirt that matched the shoe that matched the trousers, the bag that matched the bag that matches the purse that's got gold, but it can't have gold, so it needs to have silver because they never have silver earrings, and it's all got to line up. We don't want that, sisterins. So we say, you know what, Bozo? You're not a man of your word. As Erica Badu say, I will see you next lifetime. Yeah, because we don't have the time, because we have vision and purpose that we want to achieve. So we have to say goodbye, and that's where we block. And even though we block, we may have weak moments when we let them back in, and that's okay. It's okay because we're learning here, you know. And if you have little weak moments when you unblock them, been there, hands up, I've done that. It's all right. It happens. We all have weak moments. Hopefully, they'll be so annoyed with you, they won't chat to you anyway. They're like, bun that. That girl thinks she's too nice anyway. She's too much. So it's okay. We're journeying here. This is life. You are not alone in this stuff. Yeah? You do 3 strikes. You got 3. I can't do 3, you know. I can't do 3. I can't do 3. I do 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Been single for 4 years now. I thought I had done a lot of work on myself, but this year met someone. We were together for 5 months, and overpromiser. I'm a very complicated man. I feel it undid all. I feel it undid all the progress I made. Feel like I'm back to square one. Sister, nothing good is ever wasted. Yeah, trust me. So even though you feel like you backslide, yeah, I understand the backslide. Yeah, if you know me, you'll know me. But it's okay. Learn. The key is to learn the lessons. What did you learn from the backslide? Now, if you don't learn lessons, then that's a problem, because you're just going to keep repeating the same cycle. What you need to do, write it down. What are the 3 things you learned from that? What did you learn about what you do when you're lonely? What did you learn about how you sell yourself short? What did you learn about the type of guy you go for? This is lessons. And if you can learn the lessons, then you can be better prepared the next time. Listen, I used to like them rough and rugged. Yeah? I used to like them with status and kudos. Yes? Now, I watch them glide by. What pulled in 2008 is not doing nothing in 2019, because we don't need the mayhem. But it's a process and we grow. Just how I started reading self-help books and now I've written my own book and I am a psychotherapist. It all happened in stages. So be kind to yourself. Sister, the key is to learn the lessons. Try and pull out 3 lessons. And if you want, inbox me what the 3 lessons you have learned from that situation. Sis, it may feel like you're back at square one, but if you can find the lessons, you have just learned something that is incredibly important that can assist you moving forward, because you're learning about you and you're learning about how you sell yourself short. And that is really fundamental and that is key. That's my time. Wow, it's been an hour and I have talked. I want to thank you all for your messages, and don't forget, if you're watching this on the hashtag replay, this is your girl Key's book, Why Love Hurts. Don't forget, I have the Feel Loved workshop coming up on the 28th. And if you have any video requests, if your situation is I will make the time to do that. Camilla, do it now. Voice note it to me. Do it now. Now. Take the time. Make it happen. Make it happen. Like, if you wanna, where was I? Like, feel loved. And if you've got a video request, if you've got a dilemma, if something's getting the best of you, you're isolated, your friends are like, oh God, I don't want to hear it anymore. Inbox me and I'll make a video for it. I'll share it. You can find me on Instagram as well, and Facebook, and the socials. That's my time. Thank you for your questions. And if you've got any residue or anything, just inbox your girl Key. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your engagement. Remember, do take care of you, because if you don't, the bozos won't.